Hey, welcome to That's Okay. Yes, there we go. We're already on a good note. So welcome to That's Okay. This is episode 6. As always, it is Zach, Joe, and Caleb. We're back. We're excited because guess what we're talking about today, guys? Football. We're talking about football. It might have only been the third time we've talked about it, but we're going to be talking about college football today. Because they just sort of wrapped up the regular season, if you will, of college football, I guess. Mm-hmm. And the bowl games have been announced. All the teams are going to be playing wherever they're going to be playing. But more importantly, they've announced the top 4 teams and who's going to be playing in the college football playoff semifinal games. So I figured it'd be fun to just discuss that, sort of our view on the whole college football playoffs, and then discuss how we think those 2 games are going to pan out, and then who's actually going to win the big old whatever it is.
Championship game. It's new, so I don't know what they actually call it. NCAA championship.
The BCS was the old version, and they got big crystal football.
The Dr. Pepper Bowl.
Dude, the Dr. Pepper Bowl. Ice cold Dr. Pepper.
Sponsored by Coke.
Dr. Pepper.
That's right.
Sponsored by Coke.
So, Sugar Bowl is going to be Clemson and Alabama. Clemson's number 1, Alabama's number 4.
Yep.
And then the Rose Bowl.
That's
Oklahoma number 2 versus Georgia number 3.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and get my views out of the way, as incorrect as they are. I'm an SEC fanboy.
They're a part of the NFC, correct?
Eagles, Rams.
Anyways, so I want Alabama and Georgia to win their respective bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I would rather Georgia win because I'm a UT fanboy and I don't like Alabama. I'm pretty much just upset with any dynasty in the SEC right now because that means no good players are going to UT. Anyways, I don't think Georgia is going to be able to beat Alabama if it comes down to it. I see Alabama winning it all with a vengeance.
Why does that always happen, right? Everyone,
because
no matter what the numbers are, and no matter what it is, it's always Alabama. And Alabama will always be the one people just have to really fight to doubt.
Yeah.
You have to fight your natural instincts to say
Alabama's
the
Patriots of the SEC.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I don't even agree with that. Like, just because the Patriots get to draft their own players, they're like kids in middle school. It's like, I'm committing to Alabama. I'll be there in 7 years. So don't worry about it.
Yep. I'm saying it more in the sense of you see Alabama down in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left, and you're like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna win. Because that's how I look at every New England game. I'm like, T-Braid's just gonna go out there and.
Wait, you're not beating them by 35 points? Well, you done lost, nerd.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's over now.
Just
28-3.
One of the things I've always heard about Alabama, and we'll get back to what's going to happen in these games. But one of the things I've always heard about Alabama is their sheer size really intimidates people. How big that team is and how just massive the organization is.
Well, they look like an NFL football team is the thing. I mean, like the argument, you hear the argument all the time, like the best team in college football, could they go and beat the Cleveland Browns? And the answer is no, because the Cleveland Browns are professional football players. You know, it's like
they almost beat the Chargers.
They've almost beat a bunch of people this season.
Yeah, but a lot of their games have been close.
Yeah, but the point being that they do look the closest to a professional football team, where a lot of other programs, whether it's SEC or not, they'll be known for their run game. So they'll have monster linemen and a really good running back, but then their quarterback's just it's Mitchell from, middle Colorado State, whatever. So, he could throw the ball, but 98% of his snaps, he's going to be handing it off to this 5-star running back or whatever,
Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. But with Alabama, like you said, they're so big and they can recruit literally whoever they want because
if you have any talent. Where are you going?
You're
going
to go
to Alabama. You're going to Clemson. Maybe even Georgia now.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 different kinds of trains of thought. It's like the people who go somewhere where they know they can win, and the people who go somewhere where they know they'll play. So they don't care about winning because they know that if I can go and get
Christian McCaffrey
100% of the snaps somewhere, and then when it comes to draft time, they're going to be looking at my stats and being like, "Oh, he went to Podunk University."
Yeah.
But he had 28,000 receiving yards in 4 seasons.
Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, Mitchell Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who's
Dante Culpepper? He went to whatever Florida University.
Look at Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Like one of the best quarterbacks ever. Southern Mississippi State. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What the heck
Jerry
is that?
Rice. Like all these like people who are household names if you're an NFL fan, and it's like where'd they go to school? Oh, they went to whatever
St.
SEC
Mary
team.
Catholic School for the
No, they
Blind.
went to like a Division II college.
Right, yeah.
It was nothing.
Those are rare, and I feel like they could excel in their teams, but not. They wouldn't catch the eye of a lot of other people that are looking at the draft. Do you guys know the last successful Alabama quarterback to be drafted in the NFL? Because I feel like it's been a while.
I almost said Cam, but he was Auburn.
Yeah, it was Auburn.
I don't.
It's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah.
I don't know.
So that's, I mean, I just off of that.
Hey, whoa. Jacoby Brissett?
He was the third. I mean, he was the third string of the Patriots, and he wouldn't even be starting had it not been for Andrew Luck.
Right. But
I
I
mean-
think that is the answer. I think Jacoby Brissett.
Okay, cool. I didn't even know that.
I think.
Huh.
Maybe not.
It's
Yeah,
just-
Google it. Cause
I'm going to do some
Google it
fact
'cause I'm
checking.
probably
Right.
dead wrong. Watch it just be. If it's a red team, I feel proud.
Jacoby Brissett school colors.
Yeah. Red.
Like,
Woo.
I don't know. Getting back on topic, I feel like again, every natural fiber in my being says Alabama's going to win this thing. No matter what, they are going to at least have the advantage, and no matter in whatever game they're in, no matter if they're ranked number 4, no matter if they're ranked number 1, they have the advantage.
What I like about this is all 4 of these teams, you can make a really good argument for any of them to win. I mean, the Buckeyes are usually just smash mouth. They just show up and they're like, hey, guess what? We're going to beat you by 6 touchdowns. Deal with it.
Man, you're going to be super happy when you learn where Jacoby Brissett went to school.
Did he even go to a red team?
He
Please let it have been a red team.
he played college football at Florida before transferring to NC State, and then was drafted to the New England Patriots.
Oh.
Wow.
So,
Did he ever wear red?
I mean, isn't NC State like, aren't they like red and white? Yeah, they're the Wolfpack or whatever. Yeah, see, there you go, red right there in the emblem.
Nice.
See? So, I mean,
Cool. I just remember watching at least one highlight reel when he was wearing red.
I mean, it was a solid swing and a foul ball.
yeah. Foul ball. Foul tip. I'll take it.
I think another topic of interest for Alabama is they don't, like you said, they look like an NFL team not only in how they're just big, but also in that their play calling, if I'm not mistaken, is very different from the usual play calls that teams have. They are, like you said, the quarterback will be there just to hand the ball off to the stars, but they'll also run way different things from like the tricky plays like that are usually around college. You know, like the people trying to trick each other.
That's another thing of
options or anything
being
like
a
that.
dynasty. You get these people that are like, oh yeah, I was a 4-star high school quarterback, and then in college, you don't need me to play quarterback. I'll be a wide receiver. But then it's like in the back of their mind, they're like, oh crap, this kid can throw, or whatever else. That's the kind of stuff that Alabama has that a lot of teams don't really have. It's like,
They have a lot more
I'm coming
versatility.
here to catch the football, and that's it. Whereas, I think with a lot of your bigger schools, you've just got these studs that are coming in because they want to go to the big schools or whatever it may be, and it's like, yeah, I can do whatever you want. Where do you need me? And
Yeah.
I think that's a big advantage to Alabama or these schools. By the way, you said the best college team could not beat the worst NFL team. I would much rather watch that game than the Pro Bowl. That being said, I would just, can that happen? Like, please?
That's
think that
another
would
topic
happen.
of interest for some other time because
Jeez.
that would be so much
Yeah.
fun to watch.
And
I
it
could
wouldn't.
really
And it wouldn't be
interest
the
a lot of
Jets
people
this
watch.
year. It would be the Giants.
No, the Browns have not won a game. They're still the worst team in the NFL.
Dude, I think the
Yeah.
Giants would lose to the Browns hardcore right now.
Way
Whoa.
off topic.
Anyway.
They just reinstated Eli Manning as a starting quarterback.
You
and
gotta be kidding
They
me.
fired Ben McAdoo and
Nice.
the GM.
You
Dude,
got
I hope
to
they-
be kidding
dude, I
me.
hope he
That's
gets
hilarious.
If I'm Eli Manning, I'm going in the locker room. I'm being like,
Hey, Geno
you,
Smith. Hey,
forget
Geno Smith.
you,
Yeah.
forget you.
The streak.
You all ruined my streak because you're a jerk. I don't care if I was Mr. Humble in front of the cameras. How dare you?
Dude, I hope they were like,
I'm going to call
McAdoo.
my daddy.
I'm call my brother right now. Get his long neck in here. Listen up. Captain Forehead.
I can't believe you did this to me.
Yeah. What do you think, Zach? What do you think?
So,
Go ahead.
so I want to start, like, I don't want to just jump and say Alabama wins it all because, that's too easy.
It is too easy.
So Clemson plays Alabama.
Yep.
I'm going to put that one to the side for now.
Okay.
Oklahoma versus Georgia. that's the game I'm excited to watch because it's been a long time since Georgia's been in that conversation. I mean, they've been like top 25 pretty consistently, but it's like they don't get there until like the last week or two, and they're like 22nd or 24th or something like that. You know, they're like almost they're just relevant. You know, so I really like that they just sort of came out of nowhere this year, and it's like, oh hey, Georgia's like an actual semi-powerhouse football team. So in that game, like I want to see Georgia beat Oklahoma because I think Georgia has had a lot more like deliberate wins, you know, and I think their one loss is Alabama. So I mean, it's hard to hold that loss against them, you know. So I like Georgia to beat Oklahoma, and then in Clemson and Alabama. I don't want to say Alabama wins it because they've been beat before. Yeah. Auburn beat them. Clemson's beat them before. You know, it's been done. And those, like, Clemson is, if there's a school to beat Alabama, it's Clemson. Yeah. You know? So, just because I really don't want Alabama or Clemson, either one to be there. Because it seems like they like alternate. It's like Clemson, Alabama, Alabama, Clemson. So, if they can tie... If they can just like have enough overtimes where they just like, nah, just give it up.
I hope that both bowls end in a tie and TCU is named like, the champions.
That'd be funny.
Well, TCU isn't.
No, they're 15th. Not even ranked. Oh, they're 15th. Okay.
Do you have a prediction though? Like, do you have bottom of the line? Like,
who's winning?
If you had to bet money, you like had to bet money on this game.
If I had to put money on the game, I'm putting money on Clemson. I'm putting money on Clemson. I'm putting money on Georgia. And then...
Between those two, Georgia?
Yeah. And then if it goes... Like, those two teams go to the championship game, the big show. I want Georgia to win so bad.
I'm rooting
Not because
for
it's
Georgia.
an SEC team. The SEC is my least favorite of all the conferences just because...
Wow.
Love you, Caleb, but their fans are the worst. They're just the most obnoxious, and they're just so arrogant, and it makes me... And beyond all that, Alabama's in the SEC, so they already have that strike against them. So
I hate Alabama.
You know, there's nothing you can do
to
about
be
it.
fair, not all of us SEC fanboys go, my team's the best. I will be the first to tell you, Tennessee's probably going to go like 7-6
But see, you're one of the rare ones.
Yeah,
we live in East Tennessee, where everywhere you go, there's just a big orange tee everywhere.
Yeah.
And we're
I'm
2 hours from Knoxville?
Yeah.
Like, it's exhausting. Like, we're 2 hours away from the epicenter, and we're exhausted all the time because all we hear is, oh, man, they finally got rid of Butch, but we got Phil Fulmer up there as the athletic director. We've done it. We're going to make it, boys.
Like, there's a secret combination to being the best team in the SEC for some reason. Everyone's like, every year, like, we got it. We got it. We got the answer right here. And then they go in and they get crushed by Alabama and they go,
oh, man.
Well, even worse than that, they always, like, you know, UT sucks, man.
They're not good.
But here's why. Here's what
makes
me so mad.
Solid. Last year they were solid.
I mean,
they had a lot of Florida skating going on. They won a lot of games by the skin of their teeth. But they were solid. I mean, they were in those games.
Yeah, but
now they're like
they do the dumbest stuff where they will like, you know, last year they'll beat Georgia with a Hail Mary. Like, I'm Josh Dobbs.
They'll be beating Florida by a touchdown or by 4 points.
Yeah,
and it's like, hey guys, one job only. Just don't let them score a touchdown. They're like, okay, cool. And then you put a linebacker on a wide receiver for no reason, and it's like, oh man, I didn't know that guy could throw the ball 40 yards. And it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah but see, that's the thing with UT is there's two things with UT. They don't play until the second quarter because they're second half, correct. They don't play until the second half because they don't. I mean, apparently UT's religion is like you have to be pacifist in the first half or whatever. So they don't do that. And then the only games they're competitive in are in-conference games.
Oh, yeah.
Like, those are the only games worth watching. All the other ones are either complete and total blowouts, which, I mean, that's in every conference, or they do the dumbest thing where it's like, I mean, we don't understand. How did Vanderbilt beat us by 50 points? And it's like,
you know what's
maybe it's because you went in and thought, like, oh, we're playing MTSU.
Yeah.
It's just the little guy. They won't care. And MTSU's like, I'm relevant now.
Well, it's because
Guess
to
what,
Vanderbilt is like, yo, this is our game.
I said Vanderbilt. I meant Appalachian State, where
Right.
Appalachian State's like,
what
what's
meant.
up?
Yeah, Appy State is usually UT's homecoming.
Yeah.
That being said, Appy State goes in there every single year and is like, this is it, boys. This is where we draw the line. To be fair, they usually get smacked around by Tennessee the whole.
Obligatory cut. Whoops. Hey, Caleb, keep going.
Whoopsie. Yeah, Appy State gets smacked around by Tennessee for however long. But there are those little teams that come in and beat Tennessee because they have the lackadaisical attitude of, it's just St. Mary's School for the Blind.
A great example of that is I'm a fan of all Florida sports.
Yeah,
like my family is from Florida, and I've spent a lot of time in Florida. So I'm like, if it's a Florida-based sports team, I'm all in. Except for Florida. Like, the only time I root for Florida.
Except for the one thing.
Except for Florida.
Except for the Florida Gators. The only time I root for the Florida Gators are when they play UT. And it's because I hate UT more than the Florida Gators. God. But the Florida Gators are still an SEC team, and I don't like any SEC team.
Remember that time that Florida State was undefeated and then they got blown up by Georgia Tech?
Sir, they didn't get blown up by Georgia Tech.
They barely.
They got to the championship game, and Marcus Mariota was like, "Oh, quack, quack."
Quack, quack. No, that's a different.
That was. I don't know. It was that Jameis Winston went all fumble behind me.
Oh, let me throw this ball back.
So
here's
60 yards. Here's what really happened. Jameis Winston was a redshirt freshman. He won every single game. He goes to the BCS. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. What was that, Clemson? You think you're relevant? I'm Mr. Know-It-All. I played baseball in college. I know how to throw the ball." And then he beat him. And then the next season came, and it's like, oh, guess who still has it? And they won every single solitary game. They got to the championship game, and then Marcus Mariota was like, quack, quack. We got Nike as our sponsor. We got new uniforms every single week. Take this. And we scored like one touchdown. And it was like,
I was going to say, Oregon's defense was...
Yeah, Oregon was slapping people.
They were good.
Yeah, it was rough. Mm-hmm. But what I was trying to say is, like, speaking of, like, you know, the Catholic School for the Blind or whatever it was, UCF is a great example of that. Florida-based team, University of Central Florida. They are undefeated right now, and they are ranked 12th, and it is infuriating. I understand why they're not in the top 4 because, I mean...
Who do they play?
They played MTSU in their championship game. So, I mean, it's not like they played hard teams.
Yeah.
But this is also coming from the team that 2 years ago didn't win a single game.
Right.
Like, they went from a completely defeated season, no wins, to a season where they had a winning season, to the next season winning every single game. Mm-hmm. They're going to win their bowl game, like, with no issue that I can tell.
Right.
Like, it's going to be... I think they play Auburn.
Whoa.
I think they play Auburn.
That's a tall order, then.
Yeah, I take back my no issue. They'll have issue, but...
Yeah, Auburn's good.
They have really good differential. I mean, they have, like, I think their average is, like, 56 points a game they score, and they hold opposing teams to, like, 35. So, I mean, they allow a lot of points, but, I mean, their differential is...
So they are a high-caliber team, not a very good defensive team.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that leads into the obvious topic of 2 people now have said their favorite teams, and then we got UT over on Caleb, and we've got anybody in Florida besides Florida.
Florida State, baby.
For Zach, pretty much, especially.
And I understand that Tennessee sucks. Like, you don't have to bring it up every 20 minutes.
Sir, there's been a good reason I haven't been talking about Florida State so far. Hey, we're bowl eligible, though.
Nice. As of this week, right?
Bowl eligible, though, with the smile on their face. They go, we made it.
We went from, like, winning championships 3-4 years ago to we made a bowl.
We're not even looking for a bowl.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, Coach.
The name of the bowl that we got into is the Walk-On Independence Bowl.
Ooh, man, that is sick.
That is the kissing your sister of bowl games.
I was going to say the
participation award.
That's the
Walk-On's Independence Bowl.
That's the participation award.
I'd rather have the Tax Slayer Bowl.
That is
the tax.
That is the Colin Kaepernick Bowl.
Oh my God! Please.
Anyhow, Joe, college.
Okay, yeah, college favorite teams. I don't have one that, like, there is an ultimatum that always happens, and I don't know what your all's reaction will be to this, but every time you see the Irish play, you're going to see our family in front of the TV. And you're going to see all of us cheering for Notre Dame.
Notre Dame?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
I like Notre Dame. Notre Dame was good this season. I mean, they had like a really. I mean, they fell apart, but
they always do. That is the problem.
Yeah.
They fall apart. They're like the Minnesota Vikings of college football. They'll have like really good starts, and then they will just crumble for some reason. They're UT almost. UT's like greatest year. You see them crumble to the stupidest of things.
Yeah.
They'll put all their competition into like one big game against whatever big SEC team they're facing, and then they'll just crumble against everyone else. And you're like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
How can you do this?
So true.
I just find it hard to cheer for any northern team in like any sport. It just upsets me that like the Boston area wins the World Series 5 times out of the year. Wins the they steamroll in everything, and I'm like, stop, just stop. Granted, I don't like cheering for Alabama, but if it's Alabama versus Michigan, I'm rooting for Alabama.
Oh my gosh, how dare you?
Wow.
You root for Michigan every chance you get that they play Alabama.
I have family in Michigan. I'm still like, no.
However, if it's between Michigan and Michigan State, I'm always rooting for Michigan State.
Michigan State's
I like Michigan State.
Fun to watch.
What was it exactly that brought us to actually like the teams that we like? My parents just liked Notre Dame because my mom's mom was one of those people that wear a bright green dress to a Ohio State and Notre Dame game in Ohio State.
Nice.
And it would be such a fierce rivalry that they would say, that my grandfather would say to her, now just don't say a word. Just don't say one word because we're going to get killed if we leave this bus. And they're surrounded by Ohio State fans and they're in bright green attire. They were just big Notre Dame fans. I was born and raised Catholic. Pretty easy to follow along.
I think we were all brainwashed into the team that we... I mean, there's not been any... None of us have been raised in a household of liking one team and been like, no, this is my team over here.
Well,
right? I mean,
but why is the team chosen in the first place? Because with you, your family has roots in Florida.
But see, that's the thing, is my dad was like born and raised in Jefferson City, Tennessee, which is like an hour from Knoxville. He's a UT fan. It gets real quiet at our house on Saturdays.
Oh boy.
Mom went to Florida. She went to the swamp. She is a Gator. Like she has that is where she went to school. So it's I don't know how they got married. I don't anyway. So like mom and I have just learned, because UT sucks.
Yeah.
And they usually lose to Florida like 8 times out of 10, and it's like you 11. Just on Saturdays you just get quiet. Yeah. You watch a UT game and it's like, all right, yep, all right. So they lost again. Dad's mad. Let's go get a steak.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty much how it goes. So I mean, like just because I just hated those. Like I just don't like the SEC. Like it truly, for me, it stems from the fans of those conferences, because they're annoying and they're obnoxious. But the thing that drives me up a wall more than anything is they're annoying and obnoxious even more when their teams are garbage.
We them boys. We going to the Super Bowl.
That's right. Just like UT fans every single year.
It's our year.
It's our year. We're going to do it. We're going to beat Bama. We're going to go to the championship. And it's like, how though? Like, are they just going to fall off the map?
Okay.
Because
you just think to yourself, Alabama's just going to be napping while we're killing them. That's just what it is.
Let me take you back to 2016. Not long ago, when we started out 6-0, and then our first loss was Bama, and then every other game after that we lost. No, not really, but
it was pretty close though.
It was pretty close.
But it's not like we've always been. That is the one year that I was like, holy crap, we're starting out ranked. We're still ranked 6 weeks in.
Yeah,
we're undefeated 6 weeks in. That was the only time that I've ever been like, suck it.
Well, and see, that was the thing, is like, when was the last time that UT won their championship? It was 99, 98. Okay,
yeah.
So every year since then,
it's been
this is our year. We're gonna do it. We're gonna get it again. And
dude, like, if you can't
like
win
until
it with
2016,
Peyton
I
Manning,
will give you 2016, but like between 98 and 2016, it just was a steady decline.
Right.
And that drives me up the wall. It's like, shut up. Like, I don't care if you're supposed to be like diehard go your team, but like know when to be quiet when the adults are talking.
Yeah.
Like for perfect example, Florida State. The first couple of games I was like, we them boys.
Yeah.
We gonna show everybody how the ACC gets down. And then game 3 came and it's like, All right, y'all. So the Seminoles, they got to the stadium.
Right.
They continued to sit on the bench for the next 4 quarters, but they were there. They were there.
So on the topic of how do we pick our teams, back in the heyday of Tennessee sucking, the first year, I think it was either 2012 or 2013, but the year that they inducted Texas A&M to the SEC, I was
that's right.
A&M. Dude, Johnny Manziel's the man. I was a huge Manziel fan for a while. And then it was drafted by the Browns. And I was like, oh, yeah, dude, Browns might actually have a chance now.
Are you kidding me?
And then
you
they
actually
were
that's so funny.
And he was a stud in college, man.
He was.
Yeah, I mean, he that's
was
a whole
stud in college. And then now it's oh, these boys are bigger and they hit harder. And I don't have an offensive line in Cleveland. Ow. And
apparently it's not kosher for me to go get drunk and do drugs with hot girls.
And also make money on things.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways.
So you're doing a fantasy football draft. It's back in the heyday. In their prime, who do you take, Colin Kaepernick or Johnny Manziel?
Oh my gosh. I would take Colin Kaepernick.
Me too.
Well, yeah.
1,000% Colin Kaepernick.
Would you want Johnny Manziel to be your backup quarterback?
One won a Super Bowl.
Backup quarterback? Are you kidding me? I would have him, just to be a backup quarterback, because I'd get a lot of merchandise from that.
Also, you get to go to some really fun parties.
Yeah.
God.
Jay Cutler.
Does anyone know where he is now?
Isn't he dead?
Cleveland?
No.
Same thing.
Menzel. Oh my gosh! You guys are awful. You guys are awful.
Isn't he dead? Same thing.
No, what is Menzel actually still signed?
I don't think
so.
I think he's released.
I think he's been released. Yeah, I think free agent or whatever. He has the ability to be picked up, but it's no one's gonna touch that. Yeah.
Whatever happened to him in Vegas stayed in Vegas apparently.
Fun fact though, mentioning Texas A&M, Florida State, Jimbo Fisher, our head coach, decided that he was going to part ways, and which is heartbreaking.
He's going to UT?
No. No, he was contacted though, and he said, this was his words. He's like, I'm going to be it's like my place is Florida State. This is where I'm going to coach. This is what I'm going to do. When he was contacted about coming to the UT job, and then Texas A&M fired their coach, and Jimbo's like, I'm going to go Texas A&M. I'm going to be their head coach, which is even better because now apparently Florida State is looking at picking up Texas A&M's head coach. So we're pretty much just going to swap coaches.
That's pretty funny.
Which is a pretty not awful gig because Texas A&M coach, I can't think of his name to save my life.
Yeah.
But he had a winning season, not a winning season. He had a winning career.
He was 53-35, something like that.
He wasn't winning championships or whatever, but he wasn't losing.
Right. He was bowl eligible, I think, almost every year he was the head coach. So that's successful.
It's better than being you're the punt return coach for the special teams coach. For Alabama, so we want you to be our head coach.
Yeah. Lane Kiffin was like, I don't want to be UT's head coach anymore. I want to be the ball boy for Alabama.
Apparently.
Yeah. Suck it, Lane. Anyways.
I bet they get paid a lot of money.
Yeah, I bet they do.
Yep.
Stupid amounts of money.
Dude, just go be a water boy for any NFL team.
Dude, I see those people all the time, and I'm like,
how much do you
I wonder if that's volunteer, or not volunteer, but internship hours, or what that is. Because I'm thinking
maybe we should do research.
They're getting paid more than $7.25 an hour.
Oh yeah.
To just run out there and be like, huh, you want some water,
bro.
Oh no, you don't want any water. Bro. Okay, I'm gonna go sit down.
All right, we'll run back over here.
I've always said the best job in the history of just anything is being a kick returner or a kickoff team in the NFL right now, because all you do is run down the field once every time your team scores, because they always have
absolutely.
I completely disagree.
Third string quarterback. No, actually, no. In the NFL or ever?
NFL.
Oh,
I said ever. I did say ever. It's all you do is just run down there.
Any spot in the pitching rotation for any Major League Baseball team, because it's we can only afford to pay you $3.5 million this year. Is that okay? You're like, I'm not going to touch the diamond unless these 9 guys die. yeah, that's 3.5 should be okay.
All right, fair enough.
We'll work on it next year. That's fine.
Fair enough. It is kind of ridiculous how much money goes into
There's a ton of money in baseball. But I was going to say, the
Third string quarterback.
Third string quarterback. Like, I want to be good enough to be on
dress up.
Yeah. Like, you're on the practice squad, and it's like, hey, you're going to pay me a ton of money. I'm going to be here, like, with, like, the rookie wide receivers. Like, hey, man, go run that out route. Hit a hook. Do that thing.
I always thought it would be cool to be the practice team quarterback. And then I remembered that, like, the defense is the starters. Those are the guys that are just coming to murder you.
But see, all practices are non-contact. They have non-contact practices now. Mm-hmm. So you go out there and like if you're the fifth string running back,
JJ Watt
just run down the field and it's like, oh, got him. Like touch football is all you do.
That's a lot better because I just envisioned it's like, oh, okay, well. We got Joe Blow that barely graduated high school out here getting ready to throw the ball, and JJ Watt's going to murder him every time. And it's like,
well, they finally
get that job.
The football. The NFL.
The Peoples was like head injury, and they stopped.
Yeah, the NFL finally had the epiphany of like,
oh
wow. Wait, if we have non-contact practices, our players will stop getting hurt by their teammates in practice. Like, oh, that makes sense.
And that is a whole.
That totally saved. Tannehill.
Oh my gosh, please.
Or Jameis Winston.
Please.
Or anyone else that fell over on their own will and was like, I'm dead.
Zach is not fuming. He's more of,
I see the smoke.
Hey, we beat the Broncos.
Dude, Broncos ain't nothing.
The Broncos are the worst team in the NFL.
Let me get a pick six. God. Anyways.
Dude, what do you think's going through John Elway's head right now? Like, Hall of Fame quarterback, brought in Peyton Manning like, hey, come play for me. I'm going to give you an offensive line. I'm going to give you some weapons to throw to. We're going to have the best defense in the league. We're going to go to a couple Super Bowls. We're going to win one.
Yeah.
Delivered. And Peyton Manning's like,
peace.
I'll retire. I'm going to cry, but I'm going to retire. And John Elway's like, whatever. I got Trevor Siemian. He went to Northwestern. I got Paxton Lynch. He went to Middle Tennessee State University. Like, I got everybody I need. And then I got Brock Osweiler. Who? That's essentially Peyton Manning divided by 3. And it's like, except none of them can throw the ball.
Peyton Manning divided by 3.
But like Peyton Manning couldn't even throw a football. It was just you had Peyton Manning on the team. It's like you have the most expensive defensive player of all time, right? Von Miller is like the most expensive. Who passed him?
Well, the most expensive player
defensive
overall.
Player. Yeah, defensive player. I think it's a guy on the Raiders. I think it's Mack. Maybe I can't think of his name.
Marlon Mack or something.
No, Marlon Mack's a running back for the Colts. I can't.
Also, he's
anyway. I think it's one of the defensive linemen for the Raiders is one of the highest paid right now.
Cool. Anyway,
Matthew Stafford's overall.
Yeah, overall Matthew Stafford.
Also a broken hand. I don't think so. But
rest in peace, brother.
He hurt his hand.
He's dead.
Okay. Well, back to college football because we just can't help but talk about the NFL, can't we, guys?
Football is so much fun. Like, we promised that eventually we're going to talk about other stuff. Like,
we only have three more weeks, essentially.
It's true. As soon as football season's over, it'll be like we probably won't talk about football for 6 months until.
Or maybe we will. We'll see.
I can find something.
Depends on when Jay Ajayi comes back to the Miami Dolphins.
Gosh, y'all worst.
It's okay.
Y'all aren't even dedicated to a team enough for me to make fun of you all.
Sure.
True.
The Titans are winning their division.
Shut up.
Barely.
What do you mean barely? They have like the first wild card spot.
They're tied. No. They're winning their division.
Yeah.
And then Jacksonville is in the wild card spot because they have the same record as Tennessee.
Oh, you're right.
But Tennessee beat Jacksonville.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's like, yes,
they still
you're
got to
good.
play Jacksonville again though. Jacksonville
New Year's Day.
Oh, dude, that's gonna be a good day.
It is gonna be a good.
It's gonna be a real good day.
It's gonna be a good.
All right. Anyway,
college.
So,
back to college football.
Yeah, do you want to go ahead and scooch on over into the topic of interest between the three of us?
Yes.
This is
so this is gonna be a real steamy boy.
I don't know about steamy. It's more of just like flat out understanding where each other is coming from.
Yep.
All right. So one of the biggest controversies, and I look at it from several different avenues, or maybe not several, a few different avenues. But one of the big conversations, not just in college football, but in college athletics in general, is the prospect or the idea of like athlete compensation, student compensation is probably the best way to say that. So literally saying students who go to a university who play, what we're going to be talking about is football, but basketball, soccer, volleyball, softball, whatever sport the university offers, those players being compensated to a certain degree because it's essentially a job, or their job to do that. The NCAA has been very strict and very open about the fact that no, you don't do that.
Right. Well, and I think that's a fair rule.
Right, and where they come from with that is most of those kids who are playing those sports at big schools and even probably smaller schools as well, they're not necessarily being paid to go to school, but they don't have to pay to go to school.
Because Alabama is expensive. A lot of these big schools are just...
And the schools realize, hey, if I want to have the best players come to my school, most of those people probably can't afford to come here, so we're going to give them free ride, room and board, whatever food ticket, whatever, to
Meal
pay
plans,
for their books, things like that, so that they can come and solely focus on football, baseball, basketball, whatever the case is. And there are a group of people out there, and it's not a small group. I mean, it's a very large group of people out there who say that, yeah, that's all well and good, but these players should be compensated more for what they do, because it is essentially a full-time job I never played college, high school, middle school football. I never did I was never in a workout routine. I was never in hard practices that were, hours on hours long. So I can't speak to any kind of experience with that, but I am well aware for them to execute on the level that they do, they don't just go practice a couple of times a week for 30 to 45 minutes. They have to put in a tremendous...
Morning lift before classes is usually 4 a.m. And then they're going to class for however long, and then it's okay, we're going to do agilities, we're going to do ladder drills and everything, and then tonight we'll have practice. And you're
and on top of all of that, they got to keep their grades, because if they can't stay in school, they can't play for the team.
There's a statistic for that. There is a statistic that says that on average they spend about 44 hours a week on football,
which is a full-time job. That is full-time plus 4 hours of overtime.
It is also worth mentioning that the the athletes that are in the higher up schools like Alabama or in
let's say
SEC schools, they have to put a lot more time into it than some other schools where let's just name ETSU as a school that just got started with that.
They do 2 practices.
There is a difference there. That's what I'm trying to say. There is very, very, very much a difference there, and that needs to be said.
Also, to be fair, ETSU practices, I think it's 8, maybe 9 months out of the year. Dude, if you're playing football for Alabama, I don't think you get you get Easter, Christmas, and Christmas Eve. It's every other day you're going to be here doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
But the compensation really comes from the idea that getting paid essentially with education is not enough compensation for these athletes, just because they have to spend so much allotted amount of time on this football thing and at the same time make good grades, which... There are ways that they cheat the system to where they make good grades, but they can only do that with a career. With a career that does not mean anything. So, in a perfect example, there is an actual language that is one of the more popular majors for them. That is some weird language that just hardly even exists anymore, and people major in it all the time in these big schools because they will make C's during the year, and then they will take that language during the summer, and they'll make all A's, and that'll boost their GPA up to a 3.0 or 3.5.
Whatever it needs to be.
Whatever it needs to be for them to say, our athletes are getting X amount of
Manning
GPA.
getting paid with he was a communications major. It's it is literally guys, I'm not here to learn of college.
So,
he was
so the argument being made is it enough compensation to say... pay them with an education that they are never going to use so that you can stuff your pockets with billions and billions of dollars, whereas they are struggling to get by, barely making the grades that they need to do in a career that provides 1% of players a chance to move on. And that is the argument that is being made. I think that is a reasonable.
I think another big
something
argument
that's even like same argument, but instead of going to the left, it's sort of like over here to the right. Is there was a huge thing. Like I play lots of daily fantasy sports, and there was a big thing a couple years ago where it used to be you could bet on college games. And you could bet on individual players because that's how daily fantasy sports work is like FanDuel or you know, whatever one. You build your roster based off of, you know, different players from different teams, and you know, if they get the most points or whatever, you win based off of whatever. Well, there was this huge backlash from the universities because they were saying these people get to bet money on players' performance, and the players were the ones who were driving this. And they get to make money off of people who don't make any money. Yeah. Like the play, like there was a huge backlash, and you can't bet on college anything, college athletics at all anymore. And then there was like a huge backlash from the daily fantasy community saying like, hey, we want to, like, we love watching college football games. We want to put money on college football games, and so you can do that.
Now
you
can bet on games.
Yeah, you can bet on games. You just can't bet on people. Is the issue.
I think an even easier argument to make is last year, Christian McCaffrey, Stanford. Dude, you best believe that the McCaffrey jersey was a hot seller. Yeah. How much of that did he get?
Yeah, none.
Exactly. I don't know how it works in the NFL either,
but can you, like, it's hard to find college jerseys with players' names on it if you don't get them directly from the source.
You have to get it from the school.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, because, like, for instance, we live right next to ETSU. You can't buy ETSU jerseys with players' names on it. That's not really a good point. Like, I'm a huge Florida State fan. You can't buy Florida State jerseys with players' names on them, at least not from the Florida State store that I can find. Now, you can buy, like, different stuff, but you can't buy anything. Because if you, like,
can you buy
if I bought a Jameis Winston jersey, they would have to pay Jameis Winston.
Right.
You know?
He gets loyalties to it.
Right. And I do have a Jameis Winston Florida State jersey. It's a number 5, which is the number he wore in college. But the same time he was wearing that number 5 on offense, they had a cornerback who was wearing number 5 on defense. So they can get away with, you know, they can put the names on the jerseys. They just can't sell it because then brings in the whole thing. It's like, well, you're selling my name. That's my name. You owe me money.
Yeah, and it's kind of strange to have that comparison, right? Because it's very, very interesting that a star player like Christian McCaffrey can bring more demand for his team. Right. Think about all the UT fans that would suddenly go to a UT game if they found out they had an all-star quarterback that is winning them games.
The Manning jersey, I mean, I guarantee you that is a rare thing.
Well, even let's just like move away from jerseys. Let's just go a little more broad. This is probably a little bit of a stretch, but it's more of the demand for watching these football games goes up the better your team is or the better your players are. Am I wrong or am I right? That's right. Yeah. If you have a better team, you normally have more demand to watch that game.
I mean, you're going to get more television, airtime, and everything. Right?
What do the players get for being that person that brings in more demand for their school? They get this. They let their organization that doesn't pay them,
they get
quote
notoriety.
Unquote anything.
Right.
They just say continue doing what you're doing and hope for the best in the NFL.
They get NFL prospects. That's
and NFL prospects are very. And I think this is also really telling that Marshawn Lynch went on that man versus like Bear Grylls thing.
Oh, okay.
What is that called?
He has a new show where he takes celebrities out.
Yeah, and
I don't know what it's called.
The first thing, or one of the things he asked Marshawn Lynch was, "What would you give as advice to a person that is inspired to be an NFL player?" And he said, "You have to have a backup plan. I did wrong putting all of my time into this."
Yeah.
I was just fortunate enough to be able to get into this 1% of people that are able to be successful in this industry, and I had no backup plan.
Right. And
the only way I could have had a backup plan is to get a better degree, but I didn't have the time to get a better degree because I was spending so much time on football. So you give up. I think that is really interesting to hear from one of the top running backs in the league, probably one of the more popular running backs in the NFL, that Oakland he says put less time into this dream thing so that you can have a little bit more of a backup plan because
NFL even though this thing is not for long.
Yeah, even though this thing is great going into here, you are at incredible amounts of risk trying to get into this thing that very few people succeed in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even getting into the NFL, heck, look at all the people that got into the NFL and then went bankrupt.
Oh,
because then they lost stuff.
They've never been taught how to handle money. They don't know how to budget. They don't know how to balance a checkbook.
They are working on that ever so slightly. Like, there are new team rules where they're like, hey, you have to come to these.
And they're starting that at a younger age, too.
Yeah.
It's not just college. Like, and there's a ton of high schools. I know in our area where, like, they have to take basic, like, financial courses.
Yeah.
Like, basic, just, like, home economics courses where it's just, like,
yeah.
football does not last forever. You need to know how to function in society as a quote-unquote average person.
Mm-hmm. But is that enough? Is that enough compensation, in your all's opinion, for a player being able to tell them, "Don't go spending all your money"? Mm-hmm. Is that enough?
I think,
Well, see, here's my thing.
Well, can I ask one thing?
No.
Is there a problem right now with the industry?
Okay, so here's real quick segue that I'm going to bring back into answering your question.
Okay.
So we were talking about jerseys and how you can't buy, like, who's Alabama's quarterback?
We don't know.
I have no idea.
Jalen Hurts.
It's Jalen Hurts?
I have no idea.
Guess what jersey you can't buy on Alabama's website?
Jalen Hurts.
You want to know whose jersey you can buy? Amari Cooper, Julio Jones.
Dude,
that's
the name I couldn't think of earlier.
So somewhere
Down the line,
they make money off of that because they can't just sell the name.
Yeah.
So probably what that is you were a great wide receiver. You went to the NFL. All of a sudden, you are top 10. You know, potential future Hall of Famer. Yeah, we're going to sell your college jersey. Now we're going to cut you X percentage. But I mean, that's going to help drive the school sales as well,
right?
Which is really, really interesting because,
like
you said, like where you were going, I don't think we've actually said it yet, is that, you know, let's say there's 1 million kids who play flag football when they're, you know, peewee age. Out of those 1 million kids, 750,000 of those kids are going to play middle school football. Out of that 750,000 kids, 250,000 of them are going to play high school football. Out of that 250,000, 50,000 of them are going to play college ball. Out of that 50,000 kids playing college ball,
5,000 or 500.
500 of those are going to play in the NFL for a year. Maybe, if they don't get hurt. So, in answer to your question, for these kids that, you know, don't get out in peewee or, you know, middle school or high school, they're investing a ton of time. And if they get to college and then it doesn't pay off, like, it's, sorry, you know, out of the top 100 linebackers, you're 102, man. Sorry. You don't make the cut. And they're just out. You know, they don't get any money from the college. They don't get any money because they didn't go pro.
Right.
You know, they didn't get any money from there. So, in my opinion, I don't think the institutions should pay the students. I'll get to why in a second. My solution to that is the athlete, the player, the student, the individual should not be restricted from making money in any way they see fit that is legal under federal law.
Right.
Not school or
you're
NCAA. So my example is there was a huge issue in one of the local schools a couple years ago where we live, and the deal is a college athlete had gone and done a television commercial for a local car dealer. He helped the car dealer do some marketing. The car dealer said, hey, do this commercial and I'm going to give you X percentage or X cut or whatever. The kid's like, hey, I need some extra money. Didn't do anything to affect the team. Didn't do anything to affect the school. It was just, hey, this is John Adams, star wide receiver for whatever team. He drives a Kia. Come drive a Kia. You know, whatever the case was. And huge backlash. I think he ended up like, he might have not lost his scholarships, but he had like some major fines filed against him. Excuse me, things like that. And the NCAA has rules. Like, I don't know if it was Cam Newton.
Work. I know that's one of the things. It's like you're investing 44 hours on the field. You are investing X amount of hours in the classroom. So, no, you can't have a job because you're going to slack in one of those two areas.
Yeah.
And either the coach is going to let you go or you're going to start slacking class.
Yeah. But I think it was Cam Newton. It was some very high-profile college athlete a year or two ago got in trouble because he was signing autographs and selling them. Or Johnny Manziel. So,
it was Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. But, signing autographs and, like, he was selling them or one of his friends was selling them for him to, like, make a cut. And while I can kind of see where that might have been an issue, like, if you're one of the loyal fans that goes to the game and you're, like, there at the tunnel or whatever and, like, you get autograph, you should get an autograph. Like, that should be fine. Like, you paid money to come see them play, you should get that autograph for free. Like, because, there's a connection there. But if it's like, hey, I'm going to be down at the local mall from 2 to 4 o'clock, come take a picture, and I'll sign an autograph or whatever, it'll be $5 a head. That should be fine. Yeah. Because that's the individual, that's not the school. Of course, the individual is attached to the school, but ultimately, that's the individual's signature. I mean, let's not use Johnny Manziel. Let's just use a nameless athlete that, was big stuff at his local college. If he gets to make like $1,000, $1,500 off of signing, hats for the 4 years he goes to school or the 2 years he goes to school, good for him. He should be able to make that money because he might not make it in the NFL. He might not get drafted. There's no guarantee of him moving on. Mm-hmm. So I find issue with the NCAA saying that, no, you essentially cannot market yourself. Like, you don't get to make money off of yourself after your own skills or anything like that. I don't think that I don't think students should be employees of the institution. Right. That doesn't make sense to me because there are such things as student workers, but they're paying off their tuition. They're not, that's not extra money in the bank. That's
people with full rides don't do that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, people with full rides who aren't athletes tutor or, they make money based off of their own skills and prowess.
But there are also a lot of part-time jobs.
Yes. But that's the thing is that if you're a student athlete, like for that, it doesn't take 40 hours to go shoot a commercial. Like you're not the one who's doing anything. Like it takes, 2 hours for you to go in, you say the same 3 lines for 30, 45 minutes and they go, great, thanks Rodney. We'll send you.
Cut you a check.
Yeah, we'll cut you a check in a month or whatever. That's not even a part-time job. That's you go take 3 hours out of one Sunday or one, Monday to go do whatever. But I don't think that the institution should pay the players because where are they going to pay the players? Are they going to pay them minimum wage? Like, are they going to pay them more than minimum wage?
This is where
I don't think that's the argument. The argument.
Well, that is the argument. If you're going to argue that they should be paid, what are you going to pay them?
Okay, this is where I think I'm middle ground between you two.
No.
I think NCAA says you can't pay the players because, in my opinion, they're going to go, okay, so you pay your football players, you pay Joe Blow, star quarterback, X amount of dollars. How's that volleyball team? And you're like, we have a volleyball team? Holy. Phil Fulmer's like, we have a basketball team? Like, in my opinion, they already have X amount of dollars that they're going to say, all right, we can give out this many we have this much scholarship money to hand out. Right. And that's every college right now anyways. Yeah. And they go, these are the guys we really got to have. They're getting this. And these are the guys that we want to help out. And if they can come, that'd be great. And these are the guys, if they want to walk on, they can.
Yeah.
I think the NCAA should come out and say, yes, that's great. You have this budget. You have to have this many players, or only this many players full ride, only this many players partial aid, only this many players, or anybody can walk on. But I think if they would come out and say, across the board, every sport, this is your cap. This is how many people, or this is how much money you can give out for every sport. And if they say you can do it in tuition, and a stipend or whatever you want to do, that's great. But it has to be equal level. Like the star underwater basket weaver has to be paid the same stipend, meal, whatever, as the star quarterback.
So it's like a budget for a department.
Exactly. But I see it more as a stipend than, hey, dude, here's your paycheck. Because I don't want it to be, I think it's kind of astronomical to think, oh, dude, Tuesday's coming up. I'm getting ready to get that check. We're going to party. Like, I think it's more of a, oh, okay, got back from the road game. Work sucks. Oh, dude, I still have that $100 the whatever sent me. Let's get a pizza.
They have to go through financial aid like the rest of us.
Gosh, yes.
I have to go through financial aid.
So lame.
That is funny.
And I think if the NCAA would say, all right, you're 10 guys that you take with you on road games for basketball. You want to pay all them the same, cool, and you want your backups and your backups or whatever else, all the way down the line in every sport. I don't see a problem with that. But you can't go to the far extreme of, hey man, this is how much we're offering you, in my opinion, because you're going to have these dynasty teams that have the most money, and congratulations, that's the team. Because the NFL has fixed it. They go, okay, the worst team last year, they get first draft, first overall, and so on and so forth. They can trade and whatever. But in college, where there's not a draft, like you said, people are 7 years old and committing or whatever. Yeah. It's the college with the most money, whoever can pay the most full rides or whatever else. If there is a high school stud, which everyone has their scouts, but if there's somebody that multiple colleges want, they're like, oh, dude, what are they offering you? Because we can totally offer you more. We have so much more room to work with. And I think that is really toxic to the NCAA. Yeah. So I think if they wanted to do it, but do it in the right way, I would be okay with it. But don't just say free range. Yeah, you can pay your players now, because that just gets bad in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but like with that, like just where you were saying like using it as like a scouting method, like players take into consideration like a lot of different things. Like you know, if that were an option, like there would be the players like, dude, I just want to go make as much money as I can right now,
right?
Or like get the best deal, scholarship, stipend, the whole 9 yards. And then there's the player who says, I just want to win. Like I just want to go to the team that I know that regardless of where I play, even if I'm the backup, like I still get the championship ring.
I want the hat.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the players that are like, I just want to play. Like I don't care if it's the, a completely unranked school that's completely irrelevant. When scouting time comes around and they see that I have these insane career stats in my 2 years of college athletics, they're going to draft me in the first 2 rounds.
See, whenever I played baseball in high school, I got one offer. I got a free ride to Georgia Christian. And I was like, I'm not going to Georgia Christian. That is St. Mary's Catholic School for Blind. No offense, but I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm trying out at ETSU. Yeah. Didn't make it. I made it. I was 2 or 3 down on the line for we're only allowed 40 people and you were 43 or whatever it was. Yeah. And I was like, that sucks. Ouch. Should have went to Georgia Christian. But it's whatever. I knew that my priorities were, I'm not going to go to Georgia. I want to stay here. And yes, that takes precedence in every player's mind. They have their agendas, whatever it may be. Yeah. But there's an exception when Alabama goes, dude, you want to make $40,000 a year while you're at college, getting a free ride.
In your position, like let's say like this did exist and Georgia Christian was like, look, we want you to come play for us. You get a full ride scholarship, plus if you will complete a 2-year degree, we will give you $500 a semester.
Right.
Would that have like increased your probability of going? Like would you have been like, man, I get a free ride and they're going to pay me $500 a semester? Like,
which in all fairness, that's books.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like the free, like they're going to pay for all your school. Like you don't have to pay for it. That is $500 cash in your pocket. Right. You get to buy whatever you want.
I don't have a problem with that in my particular case. No, I still would have just stayed home.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what I was saying. Like if the NCAA was to say, and you can do however much money a semester, I don't think $500 a semester is too outlandish. I would not have a problem with that. Once it gets up into the NFL budgeting brackets is when I would be like, okay, this is wow, this isn't school anymore.
So if I'm not mistaken, you two are just worried about the competition getting ahead of just watching.
We don't want our bad teams to stay bad, Joe.
Well, I mean,
like
that's
what?
true.
Yeah, that's.
I'm not more worried
true.
about the competition. I'm more worried about being a student who didn't like. I love college athletics. Like, I go to ETSU football games. I go to ETSU basketball games, baseball games, soccer games. Like, if it is a ETSU sport, I go because I love sports. But being a student and having like some scholarships, but not full ride scholarships, and having to pay tuition to go to school, you know, I wanted an education. Like, I knew like I did not have the physical capabilities to play high school sports, to be honest. Like, I just, too many injuries and different weird things about me. I can't do that. Mm-hmm. But I'm smart and I know that I need an education, so I want to go do that. What would make me worried is if you have a college football team that I don't know how many like students, much less the coaches they're paying on top of that. And depending on the school, the coaching staff is going to get paid more because this school gets, it's circular. The point being, in my mind, I don't want to pay the guy who sits next to me in my microeconomics class to play football.
So you're saying, like,
but you are
in high school
anyway without them because they're
right. But I don't want that to go up.
You're saying like,
and I'm not paying like right now. I'm not paying him to play football. I'm paying for him to have the opportunity to play football. But it's like it's like welfare. It's like all those people who cash a welfare check. If you pay taxes, you're paying for them to exist.
Well, that's almost weird to me because it sounds like you're saying a guy who is good enough to be on a football team, you should not, and has worked hard enough to be on a football team like that, he does not deserve your money, like, because he's not working hard enough.
He doesn't deserve my money
because he's not working hard enough.
So, do you get scholarships for school right now?
Yeah.
Okay. If the NCAA did say, cool, 2018, everyone's allowed to pay their players X amount of money, and you get an email or get called into the dean's office or whatever, and they say, yeah, unless you're a student athlete, you don't get scholarships anymore.
That's not, for one thing, that's not realistic. Is that realistic?
No, it's not realistic. But what I'm saying, though, is
they would definitely budget their money differently. There would be a lot of kids that would lose scholarships because they're not athletes.
Just because you have the opportunity to be able to pay players
here's the thing.
amount, and that's the key, is a certain amount, because I full on agree with you both. It should not be a free market where you just say, I can pay a guy $1 million.
Right.
To come here.
That's unrealistic.
That is not the case, because you're a student. But when it comes to a certain amount to where you're at least not only putting all of your eggs into one basket that you have to spend X amount of hours on, which we've already talked about, it's a lot of hours for some people, and at the same time not being able to build a good future for yourself. Very few football players are able to build a good future for themselves. I think it is rather interesting that we're able to sit here and say that a person who is working as hard as they are for a football scholarship to a huge school, even ETSU, isn't even that big. They're working hard enough to get that scholarship. You're not doing that work. You have a problem with them getting
here's my example. Here's the reason I feel this way. I have a business degree. I went to the School of College of Business and Education at ETSU. Gosh, at least 60% of all the student athletes at ETSU go to business school.
Yeah.
That's the degree they follow. And every single one of my classes, I would have some dude from the soccer team. I would have some dude from the basketball team. I would have some dude. Now, don't get me wrong. There were some guys in there that were hardworking. Like, not only because, like, it sounds weird. Our tennis team is dope. We have like an awesome tennis team.
They're Olympic level.
Yeah, and they like consistently win championships. Every single one of those tennis guys, straight A students. They were able to not only perform on the court and win championships, they were passing their classes
with ease.
You know, and you know, some of that comes with their upbringing, which is a completely different variable that we're not even accounting for right now. But I also went to classes with, you know, some of those basketball guys and stuff that were the more high profile stuff. So they were the popular kids. And I can't tell you how many times, I remember this clear as day. It was my business organizational and theory class. Really great instructor, like really cared about his students, wanted to see them learn. We had one of the stars from the basketball team was in my class. Homeboy would show up late every single day. He would leave early. He would literally just be like flirting with girls, talking. He would play music in the middle of the lectures. So not only was he, ruining his ability to learn and be in school, but he was compromising other people's ability to learn and grow themselves in that setting. So for me, if I knew part of my tuition was, I'm okay with paying for a football team. I'm okay with paying for jersey. I'm okay with paying for pads. I'm okay with paying for basketballs. I really like sports, and I want people to be able to do that because I derive entertainment from that. I want people to be able to go and do that because, in a roundabout way, it does benefit me. But if I knew that, my tuition was, let's say, $4,500 for a semester, if they were like, hey guys, we're going to start paying all our student athletes, all tuition goes up $1,300. Just throwing that out there. So I went from $4,500 to $5,800 I was paying every semester, not to improve anything at all, not to get better assets for the school, not to repave the parking lots, not to get a new library, not to do a single thing except put extra money in their pockets. And this guy is over here compromising my ability to learn, and he's not paying to be here. He's not. He's
right.
on a full ride scholarship to come in and screw around in a class that I know that I have to have just so that X employer will look at me, because he won't even look at me unless I have a bachelor's degree. Yeah. I take exception to that. That would royally piss me off if it's like, you're making X amount of money for just coming in screwing around in class, C's get degrees, and then going and playing basketball.
When you might not be able to do it for 4 more years.
And you know what? Yeah, in all likelihood, that dude probably isn't going to go to the NBA, but that dude should have the whereabouts to know that, hey, I am given opportunity to study, to learn, because that's part of the NCAA's requirements is you have to meet these GPA requirements. Mm-hmm. And that used to be a huge deal where the colleges literally did not set up their programs for the students to be successful. And that's where all these, stories came out about professors being bribed to fudge numbers so that, they were passing all these athletes, or these classes that didn't really exist popping up out of nowhere. And, the NCAA has a lot of issues still, but they're fixing those.
Right.
So, explain to me how Josh Dobbs can be star quarterback for the University of Tennessee, get drafted, go be the backup quarterback to Ben Roethlisberger, and have
Dude,
aerospace engineering is his degree.
He literally
Don't look me in the eye and tell me that they can't get a degree while they're in school. They have to work. No, they have to work just as hard, if not a whole lot harder than me to do that.
Yeah.
But it's not unobtainable. It's not a ridiculous requirement. If that person has the wherewithal and the thoughts about them to say, hey, I know this isn't it. This is a really good paycheck or a really good opportunity for me in the future, but I'm going to have that plan B.
Right.
That's fundamental starting from a young age.
For Josh Dobbs, plan B was football. Is the funny part. He told everyone, he was like, I'm not doing the NFL draft.
Yeah.
You guys can suck it. And they were like, please? And then he eventually decided he was going to.
And it's like, I'm going to get paid ever how many millions of dollars to sit on the bench and watch Big Ben throw the ball.
Exactly.
I find it interesting that a very gifted individual like Josh Dobbs is your example. When a gifted individual would do well in that regard, I think that's great. Yeah. The gifted individual does really well.
How is he gifted? He plays football just like ever how many hundreds of thousands of other people.
Because he was able to put so much time into football to not only be a starting quarterback for one of the bigger teams in America, and he had to put a lot of hours to do that. He also had the wherewithal, like you said, to get a good degree and to study his butt off and to get it done. I think that's amazing.
It is.
But it's
not impossible.
It's not. Of course, I never said it wasn't possible. I just said that it is incredible. It is incredible that you're telling me that a gifted individual like Josh Dobbs should be the standard. That is not the
I didn't
standard.
say anything about him being
You're
the standard.
saying-
He was
okay.
the example I used,
Okay,
but he's
so-
not the standard.
So if he's an example that
So do you want the jackwagon who's sitting in my basic college course just jacking off to be the standard?
no,
Like, I hope not.
No, that is wrong too. The idea that someone should be Josh Dobbs or that someone should be that are both wrong. I think you should be a good student and be a good athlete.
Yeah.
And that means that is on the university to say, don't screw around in class, and if you do, we're going to kick you out.
Yeah.
That is what it should be. It shouldn't be that he continues to get paid. The professor should have been able to say to him, look, you're disrupting my classroom. Go away. I don't want you here anymore.
If it makes you feel better, he did fail the class.
Right.
Good for him. Get him out of there.
And that would
is
be
disgusting.
that would be a great guideline as well if the NCAA ever did adopt it. It was like, oh hey, you want your stipend 4.0.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing. Is like if you were going to pay athletes, like it would be like you have to have all
right.
this. Like it would be very.
We're not
going
to reward
now
you
under
for
that.
doing
Like
what
what I
talking
would
about.
say is that like if the NCAA was like, here is X budget, you can pay your athletes. By the way, they have to have 4.0s. If they don't, that's okay. They're still on the team, but they're not getting paid. They'll still have their full ride scholarships. Yeah. They just won't be one of the gifted few who make some extra money, which I still think is wrong because to me, the issue is it's unfair for the athlete to not be able to monetize themselves.
Right.
How many
people talking about? Well, let's add that onto that. Let's just say they are allowed to monetize themselves while getting a stipend like that. Like the biggest problem, like do you have if Josh Dobbs was in your class and he was getting a lot of money and you had to pay for him to be there like that, would you? And he was a 4.0 student, got an aerospace engineering degree. Would you have a problem with that?
Probably not, because I'd have an aerospace engineering degree too, and I'd be working for NASA making 6 figures right now.
Why do you say? Wait, you would have an aerospace?
He's
engineering?
saying because you said sitting in the class next to him.
Yeah.
So that puts Zach Burton in UT.
No, that's different. That is Zach is still putting money into UT. He could still get a business degree. Hold on, let's just say ETSU then. Let's say ETSU. If someone's going into a computer science degree. Computer science at ETSU is one of the bigger majors. Or let's say accounting. Yeah. That's also a really hard major. Let's put those in there. Chemical engineering. Even that, would you feel a person who is majoring in chemical engineering that's one of these star players for football, you're still technically paying for them if they got a stipend? Do you have a problem with that?
Yes.
My argument is highly more political, but college is so much more expensive now than it ever has been, like astronomically, and I don't think, regardless of where the money is broadcasted or going, I think it's just going into the pockets of people that run the show. That's my problem with it. And I think regardless, they're just going to keep bumping up tuition, and they're going to be like, for reasons, y'all.
Because then it gets, I feel like that is also a slippery slope to like, let's say they do that. Let's say they monetize it and it's like, all right, stipend for all college athletes.
For the ones that are.
Right. I'm fine.
For the ones.
How long until the people in the band are like,
yo.
I mean, they're on the field like half the time the game's going on. We're literally standing and playing instruments the entire time the game's going on. So why don't we get paid?
Well, that's why I said you'd have to do it equal across the board, which is why I don't think it will ever happen, because no college is going to go, I'm not paying the ping pong dude any money. Y'all, you can't make me.
That's hilarious.
You can't
the
force me.
Yeah.
The intramural ultimate frisbee team, as awesome as ultimate frisbee is, they're not going to get paid.
Let's not even talk about the Quidditch team. Local Quidditch team is going to be on fire.
So one of the arguments I would have for you is that, in that regard, is I would say, look, you're in band, and I understand that. Are you driving people to buy tickets and come to our football games?
Dude,
they're enhancing the
Southland band.
They are enhancing the experience, but
are they the Southland band?
Are they the reason why people come to football games? Well, no, but they can get full rides to their school because they are.
But I want to see you argue that in front of them. Like if that happens,
I understand they put an incredible amount of time into that. You just gotta. I could say I put 60+ hours into something that only gets me paid $40,000. Doesn't mean someone that puts 40 hours into something that gets them $200,000 doesn't mean that that's any more fair. It's just how the market goes.
Okay, how about this?
It's not a market.
They get. Let's say they
it
get.
Is a market.
Let's say they get the stipends.
So in that case, should high schools pay their students?
No,
high schools get a ton of money if they got a good football team.
You're talking like 5-star
high school, and you also have public schools.
Here is
paid by the government.
I think just on the college level, let's say that the NCAA says, yes, you can do the stipend thing, but it's only coming from the amount of money that you get from selling certain students' jersey. And that person comes in, when they sign on to the school, they go, yeah, you can use my name to sell jerseys if I'm, good enough or whatever it may be.
You get
and
2%.
In exchange, you give me my stuff. No, I'm not saying a percentage because then ping pong dude doesn't get his money. Because ping pong dude doesn't sell paddles. I'm saying,
oh my gosh.
you are giving me X amount per semester, and in exchange, you can use my name if you want it, if it's cool, if not. And that's the only place that money comes from, because that does solve the issue of my tuition stays the same as Joe Blow's student.
Yeah, see, I agree with that. Like, if my tuition doesn't go up, that's the issue, is I'm already paying the school to go there.
Too much.
Far too much.
Right.
If I'm already paying the school to go there, I don't want to have to pay this dude who already has a full ride scholarship. Because logic dictates if I'm paying the school to go there, I don't have a full ride scholarship. So I'm already taking out loans just to be able to go to the dang school. I don't want to be paying this dude to go out there and play football. I don't care if he's working 50 hours a week to go out and play football. I'm working 40 hours a week just to make sure that I can be in my apartment the next month. Now, if you come in and you write in something that says all football, let's just localize it to football. Everybody who plays for Alabama gets a stipend based off of how much Alabama football makes. Like they can pull out of the budget exactly how much money they make out of ticket sales, concessions, merchandise, the whole 9 yards. You take care of facility maintenance, you take care of the salaried people, and then whatever that extra blob of money is, you cut it. And you say, here you go. Congratulations. You all individually made $15.37 this year. I would be perfectly fine with that.
I would still argue, I hate that I even said that, because when you say it, it makes me think every gifted person ever is going to Alabama, is going to Clemson, is going to Ohio State,
but if they
is
made
going
that,
to Georgia.
if they made that a rule for every school, it'd be fine.
I would agree. I would be okay with that.
It's just part of every athletics. So even UTSU tennis. After everything, all the expenses are paid, whatever extra money's out there, here you guys go. But congratulations, no one came to a single tennis game.
I still think you would have to do it.
No money.
Exactly. Yeah. I think you'd have to do it school wide.
Yeah.
Because basketball, ETSU made it into the not Sweet 16.
No.
They lost round 1. But they made it to the NCAA bracket.
Yeah, they made it to the big dance.
They were there. But
they were on the bracket.
But soccer team good? I don't know.
Our soccer team's actually pretty good.
Yeah, we actually do have a pretty good soccer team.
But our football team's not the best. They're good, but they're not the best.
We're going to run for 2 seasons.
I think that is interesting that would be the case for you, because I think the vast majority of people would agree with you on that one.
Yeah. In that case, they're earning their own money. Yeah. I don't feel like they're performing enough service for me to have to pay them. Whereas if they're going out there every Sunday and they're killing everybody by 60 points.
Yes. Let's just go ahead and get out there. That is not $15 being split in between those people. That's a crap ton of money.
Well, I don't know what the money is. I'm just saying, I know, Nick Saban, head
it
coach is getting paid
would be
millions of dollars.
You couldn't say it as a percentage-wise. They would just say, hey, you play here, you get $800 a semester. Yeah. Sound good? And then they're going to be like, dude, I get to play football for 4 years. I'm great.
But
we're great.
The trick to that is that Alabama football pays for all the other athletics.
Right.
All those other athletics, they play and they make their own.
Yeah, ETSU.
They make their own little
ETSU's disc golf team does not compare in the slightest to their
ping pong team, because we have the best ping pong team out there.
Dude, I don't know if you've ever seen us go hard, but
my argument for ETSU is even at this point, still, even after all the hype, their basketball team statistically is way better than their football team.
So this is what you do. You take all the income, not the revenue, the income from all.
Which, by the way, includes your money. Because you
No.
You're
You
saying
didn't let me
just
finish.
from
You didn't let me
you're
finish.
saying just
so
from
you take all
tickets
the
and...
we're going to talk about ETSU. We're going to take all the income from ETSU athletics. Every single sports.
This
game.
just sounds like a get rich quick scheme.
It
I
is.
just find it
It
so
is.
funny.
No. Wait. I'm getting ready to explain the
You
pyramid
give me
scheme.
$30 a month.
You give me $30 a month now, and in 80 years when I'm dead, I'll give you nothing. So, you take all the income from ETSU's athletics, right?
Okay.
And you put that all together up in the cloud. Up in the cloud.
The cloud?
All of the cloud is the income from ETSU's athletics.
Okay.
All that money, just from the athletics, is going to pay for maintenance and supplies, equipment. It's going to pay
the whole 9 yards to keep it going.
Right. It's going to keep it upgoing and building, growing, whatever they need to do. If they need a new field, whatever that kind of crap. It's going to pay salary, so all the coaches, all the trainers, all those guys, they're going to get paid, and then all the money that's left over is up here. You don't. Now this is where the question is. You don't just cut it evenly.
Communism. That's
And
communism.
spread it. No, that's socialism. No one died. It can't be communism.
I'm completely kidding.
So, all that money is there.
Right.
You can't just split it evenly amongst, because
I would go to ETSU and play ping pong.
Right. Yeah. You're saying that would be not implying. You would be saying that dude who's the captain of the ping pong team is of equal value as
the star quarterback,
or the power forward, or
right,
the pitcher, or whatever the case is.
And
so
is not
what
the
would
case.
you would have to cut the percentage and be like, hey, the football team is
X amount good.
40% of the income. So 40% of that income goes to the football team and then gets cut evenly. Right?
Yeah.
Is that how you would do it? How would you
But here's
operating under that?
Okay, but this is all three of us talking as genuinely great, in my opinion, human beings.
I mean, I like to think I'm a good guy.
You know for a fact just as well as I do that the president goes, "Oh, we made $100,000. We have $100,000 left over. 30's mine, and Jim Bob, my vice president, he gets 20, and then that 50, ping pong boy gets $10."
Why do you keep going to ping pong, man? Why do you keep ragging on ping pong?
It's just...
Ping pong is not that bad.
Okay. Don't even get me started about
it's
the
E-Games
E-Games captain. The dude who's out there
the E-Games captain. The Smash Bros. Champ.
The more I am hearing every one of all of these points, I do realize how convoluted and how complicated.
Now I see why the NCAA is no, you
the
dummies.
easy solution is
the
definitely
NCAA is
no.
please just make it as easy for
right.
us as possible.
And I think I like an easier solution. The more I'm thinking about this, the more I think it's
they would have to hire
overcomplicated amount of mess that would be to try and split that up. I do think we all can agree on the players being able to monetize themselves.
That's the one thing that I completely agree on, and I don't understand is why can't they do that?
Okay.
Yeah. I don't understand why they can't say, why can't I go be in a commercial?
Yeah.
Why can't I go sign autographs for an hour and a half and charge $5? Even if they want to go out and charge $100 an autograph, if someone wants to go pay $100 for an autograph, good for that person.
It's just selfish people up in charge, in my opinion, going, how dare you make money off of your own name? You belong to us. That's how I look at it.
And the only trick to it that I can see is if they went and did something weird, if you, it would be okay, so Milligan College is a Christian college in our area. It'd be the Star. Is Milligan even relevant in anything? Golf. It'd be, okay, so it's the captain of the golf team went and did a local
Yeehaw
commercial, a local brewery commercial.
For those of you that don't know, Milligan has a strict no alcohol policy. They will suspend you immediately.
Yeah. So the athlete is taking it upon himself hey, I'm a popular athlete in the area. This company wants to pay me to come say, hey, drink Yeehaw beer.
Yes. So,
and then but what that does is that then casts the image on the school saying, I thought you all said no beer.
Exactly.
And then it's but where's
So one, Milligan would suspend that kid. Two, if he did it in his Milligan golf shirt, you're talking probably a lawsuit because they're going to say you didn't represent yourself. You represented us in a way that we did not see fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that might be sort of an argument you can make is it's not.
I could see that.
You're not the.
It's way simpler than trying to portion out athletic money to different.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, like, if you made rules that says like, yeah, Jim Bob, you can go be in the car commercial, but you can't wear anything with our brand on it at all. Or make it better than that. You gotta if you're going to a Ford dealership, you gotta wear a Ford shirt. Mm-hmm. Or whatever like local Ford company it is.
And people get away with that stuff anyways. They'll go Bill Gatt and Honda every October when they have commercials, everybody's wearing an orange shirt because they know UT sells. And it's like, dude, we're just wearing orange. We're just wearing your merchandise. What do you care?
Yeah.
But, you know, if you have Josh Dobbs come on the screen wearing his jersey and he's like, yeah, come buy a truck, dude. I don't care. Just give me one check. I can see why a university would say you can't do that.
Yeah. Especially
if it wasn't Grindstaff. If it was, come on down to Pete's Bar and Grill where you can get hammered. They'd be like, yo, no. No, you're a 4.0 suited. You can't, no.
You don't get hammered.
Yeah. You hammer books, son.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we all came to a consensus on this, that it's not amazing what the NCAA is doing right now, but the more we talk about it, the more convoluted it gets.
They're probably doing the right thing.
The convoluted parts are at least necessary to make sure that a player
keeps them out of trouble.
Can fully at least market themselves in a way that gets that.
Right.
But I also think on a subject that could probably merit its own whole conversation is, what would you all say to a football program that doesn't require 44 hours a week for a player?
Like ETSU?
What I was thinking about, what I was thinking about is, what if that was the highest amount, like the higher paid athletes were those people, the people that only had to put 20 hours into it. That way they could put instead their time into the backup plan. Yeah. Or if they wanted to make it all the way into the NFL like that, you know, they have the option to do that. It doesn't require.
They're only required 20 hours as compared to 40 hours.
Because the more I've talked to people about that, the more I've realized that you want to see the highest amount of athleticism when it comes to that. You demand seeing very athletic people playing football. And if there was a way to just shorten the amount of time that people would have to spend on that, then that would solve the problem too.
Yeah,
that would solve a lot of it.
They've already cut practices. Like there's there's things where they like they're like designated like.
But they've not cut it in hours per day or hours during the semester. They've said you can only start practice after this date, and you have to cut it at this date.
They're still working out. They're still studying film. They're still doing all that. It just doesn't mean that the university can say we're doing all we can to not make them do anything.
Right.
So it's.
We didn't lock the gym that night.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, would you be upset if you had a full team full of Caleb's or Joe's out on the field that only put 15 hours into football and watched them play football?
So that was ETSU in 1980s, and they cut the program.
Football? Would you still watch them play college football? Like, would you still watch college football the same way? Or would you rather have the 44-plus hour athletes play?
I mean, I just like football. So,
yeah.
I mean, if it was...
In the
if
argument
y'all are wearing ETSU gear or Florida State gear, I'd probably watch it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you want to see good football, but, you know, how many times have we sat down and watched even a Monday night football game where the highest scoring team scored 10 points, and it's like...
This Monday.
Well, that was 3.5 hours of defense.
This Monday's
but you watched it, you know, because it's football. So, I mean, for me... I don't.
The thing is,
do I want to yes, I want to see UCF throw up 65 points every game because that's fun and that's exciting. But you know, I'll also sit there and watch, you know, whoever beat someone 7-3, and it's, you know, it's all a matter of
the thing. But it's not the consumer's idea. It's as the owner of the president of the college or whatever it may be. Even the AD is just going to say, you know. Football has not made any money because we suck. So we're going to cut the program. And that's what ETSU did because they weren't good. And I think that is...
Is the program actually cut?
No. It was when they originally
I was like, what?
No.
Yeah.
No, you remember the shirts that were like undefeated since '84?
Yeah.
Because we didn't play anybody
No.
for 30 years.
I know.
Because we didn't lose.
We didn't lose either, but Eli Manning didn't throw a single pick Sunday.
Oh my gosh, please.
I think that's kind of the argument there is just, I mean, yes, you can practice less, but if the team starts playing more and more poorly, eventually people are going to be like me right now. They're like, dude, I'm not watching UT. I don't even watch UT on TV anymore because I just know they're going to get whooped by 2 touchdowns every game, and I'm like,
Get their
I can't force myself to watch it. As much as I love Tennessee, I can't physically watch them lose to these terrible teams.
But that's funny that you'd say that, because that means that it is the consumer's idea.
Right. I mean, but
because they want to see good.
I want to watch good football.
Yeah, they want to see good athletes that put all their life into it.
But with the exception of sales tax, I don't invest any money to UT.
Yeah.
So true.
I'm saying from the owner, from the higher up standpoint, if they're just like, this football team's not great, eventually they're either going to fire the coach like UT has done, or it's just going to dwindle down into the team not being successful. And I think that may be the reason why. And of course, if you don't practice as much, you're not going to be as good, just as a general rule of thumb. And that's why colleges practice for 44 or however many hours a week.
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know. Like, you can't expect the ping pong team to practice for 44 hours a week.
They probably do.
I was about to say, actually, you can.
You can expect it.
Those ping pong dudes are...
Let's not even talk about esports. Actually, let's talk about esports, Jeff.
Next time.
Next time?
Next time.
That'll be a good topic for next time.
Speaking of next time, that is where we're going to end today's podcast. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the But That's Okay podcast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Make sure to like us on Facebook. In Facebook, not on Facebook, because you have to be in Facebook to be on Facebook. To like us on Facebook.
Get in there.
And subscribe, leave some comments down below. Tell us if you like these longer podcasts, and especially tell us if we should stop doing football or if we should continue doing football.
Bad news.
So,
we're not stopping football.
With
we're
that
not
being
stopping
said,
football.
That being said,
consumer's choice.
Zach, Caleb, and Joe signing off. And just remember, if you like us, we love you. And if you don't, but that's okay.
It's okay.